Hey there, beautiful souls. It's Lisa Nicole, host of Sacred and Rooted Podcast. Welcome, welcome. I'm glad you're here. And I just wanted to thank everyone who's been listening. It's been totally awesome to hear and get feedback from people that have enjoyed the episodes and, are cheering me on. And that's just really nice. And I'm glad you're getting something out of it, that something's resonating. And yeah, share with your friends and people that you think might like it, and it'll help spread the message for sure. This morning's episode is all about trusting the timing of your life, which is easier said than done, especially when things might be hitting the fan a bit. For sure, it's way easier to, trust the timing of your life when your life is going well, when you're on vacation, when, what's your day going to be about? It's going to be, get to sleep in, get to have some delicious food for lunch, get to go to the beach later, have a nice dinner, leisurely dinner with friends, outdoors that's so nice and warm, and everything is just like roses and butterflies. And I guess I don't want to discredit that. That's super good practice, right? Being spontaneous and being in the moment when we're on vacation it almost comes naturally to most people. And it is really good practice to know how that feels. And I don't think there's, too many people. There's always like once in a while you have a bad experience on vacation, but for the most part, vacations are lovely. You feel spacious, you feel freedom, you feel expanded in every way, hopefully except your waistline. And even if it's that, it was so fun, so what the hell. And so those are all things that we'd all like to take into our regular day. And then you get back to work and it's like, hitting the wall of, I don't want to say real life really, but just like the day-to-day stuff that, I think it was Liz Gilbert who coined the term like shit sandwich. Like there's the parts you love and then the middle, there's some shit that you just have to get done and through and whatever. It all can't be perfect. So when things are going a little rough or rocky or just totally shitty, how do you still trust the timing of your life and not feel like, what the hell, why is this happening? Why me? Why, what, why now? Why everything? Like, why? Nope, I don't want this order. Take it back, please. And I'll get something else, hopefully, from the universe later. Yeah, how do you do that? And it's a good question because it's not a simple, do this and you're done and that's it. Like life obviously is a process and a continual cycle of, mastery, relearning, mastery, or practice some more, it's learn some more, experience some more, get back on to feeling like you have it on the, that you're really grooving with it, that you're in the flow, and then, something surprises you, something happens, and it's like, all right, here we go. Here's what I've been actually doing all of these tools and practices for, is so that when shit hits the fan, it's not so shitty. I can kind of rebound a little easier. I can realize that it's not all just my fault or it's all me. It's just, things happen and to get through it without really letting it stick to you too long, because we don't want to come away from our bad experiences. I don't even want to say bad because, there's always some gold there. But just to come away you just don't want to let it stick to you too long so that you end up dragging it through, 5-10 years later and you're still thinking about that time that that thing happened, and it's like it was yesterday, and it can just be something that kind of wears down your shine. And so what I really want to, I guess I'll outline in some examples because my life right now seems to be full of them. And somehow it's only been okay. So I'll start with the story, and I can kind of expand as we go. But I am definitely someone who resonates deeply with the timing of your life because there's just some magic to it where it's almost like a portal opens and this thing that's supposed to happen or whatever just comes together so quick and so easy and so smooth. And then the portal shuts and it's like, all right, now you get to deal with all the details. But it's still magical because it almost like jumps you, jumps time. I don't know, people say that jumps timelines. It just makes something that seemed like more of a big thing super easy to get to or to do or to experience. And then after that, it's like, okay, so my life is different now. I definitely found that the last time I can think of it happening in a really big way was when we moved into the house that we're currently living in. And we had been talking about moving in together for a while, and just, it just never seemed to be the time because our lives are busy. And of course, there's just not a big week all of a sudden where nobody's doing anything. We might as well go look for houses. So we had been looking online just kind of for fun, almost like a hobby at that point because we did it so much, and talked to the kids about it, and they kind of had their eye on things and had little opinions and stuff, which was fun. And and then COVID hit, which was in March 2020, and everything shut down. And the first wave of COVID here, I don't know how it was for where you were, but the first wave was like a full shutdown. And basically, like, don't go near anyone who's not in your family because you might just get, like, COVID and it would be a disaster. And so there was a lot of, like, I don't want to maybe admit this on a podcast, but there was definitely some gray areas to the rules that were utilized to their fullest. And so yeah, it got to be really annoying that we weren't living together because it was, like, just even more of an effort to like get together and hang out, and then you feel like you're some kind of criminal because you're trying to hang out. And anyways, so yeah, so then COVID, the bans lifted coming into the summer of 2020, and so then life seemed like it was maybe going to get back on track and that'd be the end of it, and little did we know. But anyways, at that point it seemed like, yay, okay, we're done. And so we came across we started looking at houses again because, right at COVID, we kind of were busy with making sure our various businesses and things were capable of handling COVID. But once that first bit lifted, we were looking at houses again, and it was different because we were working from home now. And so all of a sudden, rules that we sort of had for like how far would we want to live from work, and how would we do this and how would we do that, like our lives just got totally flipped upside down as far as where we work, how we work, and just the remote, like the fact that we didn't have to be in the office and the fact that we didn't literally need to see people to get things moving. And so then it sort of opened up this, like, what I would call, I have no other words for it other than a portal, because it's almost like all of a sudden all these little stipulations and things where we were looking, in town, closer to downtown so we could be closer to where a lot of our jobs were, that sort of got blown up, and it was almost like, no, let's we have no rules now because we have a new, like, whole world. We didn't even think that what just happened with COVID was crazy. So, where could we live now? Like, maybe we don't move downtown because we can, spend the same amount of money and live further out of town and get a house way bigger, and we have like 5 kids and that, so that was definitely a good idea, or a very good possibility. And so we started looking further away and in different areas than we would have if I was thinking, that I was going to go back to the office full time. And at that point, I already kind of knew in my heart that I was never going back to the office again full time. Because working from home was totally awesome as far as flexibility and just putting in other parts of my day into my day and just intermingling them all instead of having this big hunk of the day in the middle where I was at the office and then I put everything else like off to the sides, the beginning of the day or the end of the day. So I just loved that part of it. I mean, obviously I missed seeing people in real life, but I knew that I was never going to go back to the office full time, like part time, 1-2 days a week, no problem, but never again 5 days a week. So what happened was one weekend we were just, we had some houses. We called a real estate agent and we like started to slowly dip our foot in that. And we had literally, I think it was the same day even, we had a little, Teams meeting or Zoom meeting with the realtor. Talked about what we were looking for, what, the fact that I had a house to sell to before I could get another one. And just sort of run through the situations with him, and he was going to get going on his part of it. And in the meantime, he put us on, I don't know, whatever the realtor list is, where they send you house listings based on your criteria. So we got the first one of those, and like there was a house that we really were like, oh, that would be cool. Maybe we could live there. Okay. Maybe we'll go check it out. And I think it must have been a Saturday, because I think it was a weekend for sure. It was a Saturday that we didn't have the kids. They were at their other parents' house. And so we just decided, why not? We'll drive by it and see what it looks like. So we drove to Manotick and we looked at this house. We drove by it and it was like in this little cul-de-sac, pretty quiet, right by the river. Ginormous looking house. Like for me, the first thing I thought of was like, well, okay, we really don't need a house that big. But we were like, it looked cute enough that it was still kind of like, a big size, maybe like ski chalet looking like thing. So I liked the look of it. And so we thought, okay, we like it. Why don't we book an appointment to go see it? And so we called the realtor and said, yep, can we look at this? And, he said, sure, yeah, I'll figure it out. The next day, I think, was a Sunday, and we went over to look at it, and it was perfectly awesome. It just seemed like a great house. It had 5 bedrooms, I think, at the time, but it had space for another bedroom in the basement, and everything was finished. It was like move-in ready. You didn't have to do anything, and the yard was awesome, and it was well cared for. Like, everything just seemed great. So then we were like, okay, are we actually going to put in a bid for this, or what are we doing? And that seemed nuts, because it was only like another, a day since we really sort of decided we were going to do something about our desire to find a place to live together. And yeah, so I do remember thinking like, maybe this is too fast. But then at the same time, it's like, no, this is a really nice place. We need to get it. And so we both look at each other and shrug, and we're like, yep, we need to get this. So we did. We went, we put in a price with our realtor, and he had found out that I guess the house had been on the listing for like a while, which is unusual around here. The people that were in here were getting a divorce, and so they were moving out, but they also had a person already that had put in some bids for the house, but had always had, I don't know, stuff had fallen through somehow, and I'm not sure why or what, but I think it was like a couple of different times the person had come to like bid on the house, and both times the financing fell through or something. Whatever happened, they weren't getting a deal, and so they were tired of dealing with that person, and just wanted, somebody fresh, just who could just like get the deal done. And so they looked at our offer and they were like, yeah, great, perfect, let's go. So it was lower than our realtor would have suggested because he was kind of thinking that, just to make it higher, obviously, to be more guaranteed that you'd get in. But because there was all the other stuff in the background going on, with the fact that the people just wanted to sell and they just wanted to have a deal that would go through and finish, they decided to take a chance on a new buyer. So all of a sudden we had a house in like 3 days or something. It was crazy. And so then, yeah, we turned into, buying a house mode and all the stuff that goes on with that. But I told you that, like, I'm telling you the story basically to just highlight how sometimes it's almost like I don't really totally believe in fate, but there's points in time in your life where it feels almost like there's some fate involved where it just like syncs so perfectly that it's like, wow, what the heck was that? Like that was not just, that was like everything that could have gone right just went right. So there you go. Fast forward to today. It's the end of April when I'm recording this, and we were away Easter weekend, and we came back to a basement that was full of water. The sump pump had, whether it was broken or didn't re-engage properly when the power went back on, but whatever, there was water all over the basement. And I was kind of, the minute I walked in, I was like, what is happening in here? Like the heat was not on, and it just smelled like not like wet earth or something. And so, yeah, anyway, I went downstairs and was like, oh, no, 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 no. Anyway, so it's been quite a busy few weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, whatever it's been. But the first week was rough because it was just a ton of like ripping, like taking the water out of the basement, then drying the carpet as much as we could so that people could actually take it out without it weighing like 10,000 pounds each square foot. And just like, it just felt like a lot of loss where we were, stuff was damaged, stuff was wet. Hopefully some of it's drying in the box we have in our front driveway now, but a lot of it ended up in the dump too. And so it was hard. And then dealing with the insurance is not actually very pleasurable. And so it was just a lot. And it was shocking. The things like that where you like not even thinking of it. And then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, what? Why? Anyways, so forget the why, like the why is like an impossible question. So I do the best I can to jump from that to, okay, like obviously things just need to happen. So that's the first thing, is just you got to move with it. So you got to take action. What needs to happen? What needs to get done to fix this problem? And so, figure those steps out and do one at a time until you are walked out of your problem. And then also to trust the timing of your life, like to put that in there is complicated in a sense that, the timing of it was crazy weird because it was, we were all gone. We had planned these trips forever. We had never had any problem with the sump. It hardly ever even ran. And so these things were not even on our radar as far as like possible problems that we could encounter. And so it was so shocking. But as I say that, it was also one of those things where we probably didn't look at it enough and we didn't pay attention to it enough. And so then it became kind of one of those like red flag problems instead of just something kind of under the surface that you're not really noticing. And so literally in the course of a week, not the first week after it flooded. That was just like taking shit out of the basement and like, getting things organized so that, like my son, he's in his sister's room upstairs now, and getting some space for him so that he could have his stuff out and like feel like he's got a spot in the house, moving stuff like that around so that we still have things we can use and access, and the other stuff is outside in the sea bin, I guess, for later whenever we have everything finished. And so that's like whatever, that's one part of it. But then the second 2 weeks after that, I had planned to have our septic bed, or I don't know what you call it. We have a septic bed, but it's like I call it the shit tank because I think it's mostly shit in there. The more water stuff flows out through into the septic bag or bed in the lawn, and then it kind of percolates and cleans itself out and then goes back to nature. But the tank holds like the solid stuff that won't go through like into the septic bed. I don't know what it's officially called, but it wasn't lost on me that within a couple weeks we had literally like cleaned out the bottom of our house, like the basement of our house. The whole level was a disaster, and then we also had already planned to get the shit tank cleaned, and so we had that cleaned, and so the whole underbelly of our house and foundation and like home area has been like cleaned out, start over, good as new, hopefully eventually. And so that was really interesting because it was definitely something that there was a bunch of different areas in the basement where stuff had just been collecting, and it was like stagnant energy. Like we hadn't really cleaned out stuff where the kids had used things when they were much littler. That stuff was still around all over the place. There was a whole bunch of different clothes and just different things in the unfinished area that were stored but weren't really, like, we didn't really need them anymore. So that, even though it got all damaged, in some cases it was like, well, maybe we don't need to buy that again anyways, like really. So it was a good thorough spring cleaning. And the other thing that happened was it immediately sent me into like feelings of unsafety and like anxiety around like money, and like just blowing through tons of cash in like such a quick, unexpected way that it's like, oh shit, like I gotta get a plan here. And so that part of it really bugged me for a bit, as far as just like, how is this gonna work out? How is this gonna go? What's the plan? And like, just to get back the feeling of security and safety and like confidence in our ability to, bring in more money and just keep, not letting it bury us, or like, have a giant credit line for a while or whatever. Because the insurance, it sounds like the insurance is gonna cover like probably half of it, and the other half they're like, well, that's not that, so sorry. So, but that's a story for another day. Interestingly, the last 3 weeks, I had already enrolled in an online course on, I can't remember what it's even called right now off the top of, it's the Manifestation Babe Academy, and it sounds hilarious. Like, I kind of giggle every time I say that out loud. But the girl, the lady who runs it, she just challenges me. Like, she's somebody that I almost don't like listening to, but I listen to her anyways because I know that what she's saying is right. It's just, it rubs up again every time I have like I get to the edge of where my like little bubble is and what I think is possible is, she just kind of rides right through that, and it's like, seriously. Like, anyways, I find it very fascinating actually to listen to her. So I had signed up for this thing last month, but I had trouble starting it on time. I like wasn't making time for it, and it was like, okay. And literally after the basement flooded, I started the thing, and have been like freaking binging it ever since. Because I just felt like I needed a refresh. Like my mind and my body were getting a little bit like full of molasses and goo almost, with like, oh, the basement. Like, what the hell? This is such a hassle. I don't have time for this. Like, why now? Why? Whatever. And so I needed to just like, you know, get all that, scrub all that goo off, get a little refreshed, refresh my mind, mindset, mind, body, soul connection. Everything just needed a little mindset upgrading. So I've been taking long walks in nature, and I've been making sure that I'm taking space for my own self-care of things, because I did find I was getting, really tense. Like I just was getting snappier. I was getting cranky because it was just like too many unknowns, too many things to have to go look at and arrange and whatever, for different people to come in and out of the house to do this, that, and the other thing to get the basement back on track. And then, yeah, so I started doing that. Somebody else had mentioned a book that was about mindset again, and like all the stuff that's not even just mindset, but just the expansiveness of all possibilities are here. The world is like unlimited possibilities, and you need to be open to, and whichever ones you want to be open to, they're already here for you. And so I needed to get back to that way of living, because that is my most comfortable location, I think. And it's where I find life seems to work the best for me. And so, yeah, so I, audiobooked this book, listened to it on a bunch of my walks. I'm going to enroll in another class today that's, just happened to be launching last week. And I was like, wow, this is perfect timing for this, so that I can just get a whole rehaul on and kind of up level my way of being open and the ways that I show up, and I'm trusting the universe, and to really like roll with it and not just halt and feel like, holy crap, I can't, like, what the hell is happening here? Why is this happening? Like to get from that. And of course we all have that, like there's no getting away from it, but to just make sure it's not sticking on you there, like you're not stuck there. And to, build your muscle of, resilience, and just to kind of get back, almost like jump back up on your feet, right? And so that's what I've been doing with these mindset things, with this money stuff, and just trying to get like, okay, yeah, I can do this, I can do that. Everything is like, yes, shit happens, but that doesn't mean anything about, or I guess what the point would be is that it only means what you make it mean. And so that is like a critical thing to letting stuff shake off you and just like kind of roll off your back, like the old saying goes, is to just not make it mean anything more than just like, that sucks, it totally sucks, but it's like, we made a mistake, or we didn't, we should have had somebody, we should have done this, we should have had that, but we didn't. Obviously we know for next time, like, not ever gonna happen again. We'll have like 14 different things in place so that like it all can't fail at the same time. But it's like, it's okay, like we can move on from there. We don't have to be the people that like just talk about our friggin' flooded basement and how shitty that was for like the next 10 years. It can just be one of those things, and we get on with our lives and just stay open to possibilities. And so trusting the timing of your life, what I've found is that even though in hindsight there's things that, there's definitely more than one thing that went wrong as far as noticing little intuitive hits that could have maybe stopped the extent of the damage, but I'm not even sure. And I think looking back on it, there was definitely some things that needed to have closure around them that this flood has helped. And there was definitely some things, like some learning or some like fine tuning that has happened in our own, even between my partner and I, just the way we handle each other, the way we work through a hard, difficult time, and the way that for me personally that I don't get stuck in the weeds for too long. And it's just like, okay, it's just some water. It's not life threatening. Nobody's sick. Nobody, the stuff that got damaged wasn't even, the most important thing ever. It was just mostly stuff. And so it's all gonna be okay. And to not make it mean more than that. And to then get back to your homeostasis, which depending on who you are, it could be all different. But like for me, it's just a place of trusting, that it's almost like that all possibilities are possibilities, that anything can happen, good and bad, and that I'm expecting mostly good. I'm open to good, but I'll take the bad to whatever needs to happen to like kind of, chisel the diamond, or what do you call that when it's like the diamonds are formed under extreme pressure, like that kind of thing. There's definitely points in my life where that's totally true. But those don't have to be like eons and eons of your life. It can be a phase, a season, and then you're back to your balanced, healthy feeling in your body. You feel safe again. You feel calm. You don't feel like the rug's just been pulled out from under you forever, I hope. And so through the whole experience, it's definitely really focused me on the mindset, the open to possibilities. Like I've purposely gone and found these things and done these, or not finished them, but like got into this topic deeper so that for myself, I can kind of like pull myself up and make sure I am looking after myself as well as I can, so that I can, be there for my son when he's kind of like, it'd be awesome to have my room back. It's like, yeah, it would. But unfortunately, that's going to be, another month or so. But overall, in the whole scheme of it, like, it's not the end of the world. And then just managing, like, sort of the actual real, critical discomforts, the stuff that can help him, make him feel at home in a different corner of the home. And so that's easier for him to come through too, and not so I'm modeling for him and the other kids too, but they weren't impacted as badly. That, yeah, it's shitty, but, let's make the best of this. What can we do right now to make you as comfortable as possible, knowing that you'll get back to your room, within a month or so. But in the meantime, I don't want him to feel like he has no place for his things and he has no space and no. So we've been making little compromises here and there to just make him feel more comfortable with where where he can spend his time and kind of feel like he has his own personal space and that sort of thing. Anyways, so that's long story short, I guess. To highlight the timing of your life, even if there's, the basement flooded kind of time in your life, trust the timing of your life. It's like, yeah, awesome. But to really just know that there's wisdom in that, and there's nuggets of gold and wisdom that you can then carry and use for the next time some shit hits the fan, because I'm probably not gonna get out of this life without more shit hitting the fan at different points in time. But to know that that's sort of it's almost like a stone carving where the more agile, the more tools you have to really bounce back on your feet, the easier it gets the next time, or the more confident you are that you will get back there. It may not be easier necessarily, depending on what the exact situation is, but you have the confidence to know, like, I've been here, I can get back to there or better, and it's just going to take some time and some, conscious effort at caring for yourself and caring for those around you, and then also doing what you got to do to get, like, water out of your basement or whatever the situation is in particular. Anyways, that is what I have to say this morning. I wish you a great day. I wish you a great weekend ahead, and thanks again for listening. I hope you have a beautiful day. And if you like this episode, hit subscribe and leave a review. That'd be wicked. And if you did enjoy it, share it with a friend who you think might enjoy it as well. All right, see you next time. Take care.